Hi everyone. Today I'll be looking at four-part tonal writing in J.S. Bach's Fugue No. 7 in E-flat major from Book 2 of the Well-Tempered Clavier. In this video I'll not be looking at bars containing fewer than 4 parts and will not cover fugal form or processes in any detail. The principles and rules for writing 4-part tonal counterpoint are essentially the same as writing for fewer parts. In 4-part writing, however, complete 7th chords may be vertically sounded, and one note of a triad must be doubled to achieve a full 4-part texture. As always, which note to double depends on context, although as usual tendency tones are typically not doubled. In works of 4 parts, as with those in 3, the 4-part texture is not used continuously. Because this work is a fugue, each part enters successively, with an initial 4-part texture only beginning when the final part enters here in bar 21. Less than half of the total number of bars therefore contain 4 parts. Typically the texture will be reduced through an episode or before a subject re-entry. For example, through these bars the texture is reduced to 2 parts before the subject re-enters in stretto. Bach varies the rate of harmonic change. Sometimes a single harmony lasts for an entire bar, and sometimes several harmonies are used. Inclusion of non-harmony notes either to prolong a single harmony or to move between harmonies often will be consonant with only one or none of the prevailing harmony notes. For example, here the A accented passing note is consonant only with C, the root note of B-flat major's supertonic. And here the G and B-flat accented lower neighbour notes are consonant with each other, but not with F, the root note of B-flat major's dominant. Through bars containing a single harmony, Bach also occasionally uses what's termed consonant support to prolong the underlying chord. For example, this internal ascent in thirds in the middle 2 parts of these bars is continued here by the inclusion of this G, which is a non-harmony note, but is consonant with the B-flat and D it supports. Despite being approached and left by leap, the consonant support does not form a different harmony, but is here simply included to continue the thirds motion, and as here is often used when a composer wishes to maintain a melodic pattern. 2 bars later, in a similar instance, Bach includes these accented passing notes over tonic E-flat major harmony to continue this pattern of descending thirds. As is expected, throughout the 4-part texture of this fugue, interaction of the parts occurs with contrary, similar, and oblique motion. For example, here 2 parts move in parallel sixths, while the other parts either move against them or sustain the same note. Here, all 3 upper parts move in similar motion over a sustained E-flat note in the bass. Their motion connects the pivot chord, affecting the modulation back to E-flat major, and the secondary E diminished 7th chord moving to E-flat major's major supertonic. Here then, these quarter notes are all passing notes linking the harmonies and do not form a different harmony. Suspensions, when occurring at the beginning of a bar, sometimes resolve on the 2nd quarter note beat of the bar or on the 3rd quarter note beat. Here, these suspensions are decorated with a leap down a fifth to the 5th degree of supertonic and tonic harmony before leaping back up a 4th to the resolution. In works such as this fugue, where the thematic material recurs throughout, when the subject is present, it acts like a cantus firmus in which its notes dictate the choices for the underlying harmony. This restriction is multiplied when the subject and answer are combined in stretto. For example, looking through these bars where the treble subject enters, the harmony of the resulting 4-part texture must accommodate the answer's melody notes. Here the repeated E-flat moving to D is treated as the 7th of B-flat major's dominant 7th, which resolves to the 3rd of tonic harmony. Here the leap to G is harmonized as B-flat major's submediant, which also includes its 7th. From here the treble moves sequentially through the following few bars and is treated similarly in each. The submediant 7th resolves to the 3rd of supertonic 7th harmony, the 7th of which resolves to the 3rd of dominant harmony. Dominant harmony then moves through its 7th to resolve to the 3rd of tonic harmony. Here also, this leap is treated as the dominant's root note leaping to the third of submediant harmony. And here, where 4-part texture continues with the subject in stretto, now in E-flat major, this dominant chord is prolonged by the submediant before moving as a dominant 7th in 4/2 inversion to resolve to first inversion tonic harmony. Occasionally, the presence of thematic material or other compositional devices may lead to doublings or resolutions which are not typical. For example, here where Bach has continued this sequential material, the root note of this leading note diminished triad is doubled, which is typically not done as it is a tendency tone. Here, however, because the leap in the treble follows sequentially from the previous bar and was heard here, the ear accepts this usage. The descent of this leading note in the bass of the previous bar is also accepted because of similar circumstances. Because this is a keyboard work, the ability for the parts to be played by either a single hand or a combination of both also has an influence on how the parts are formed. For example, here where the parts registers are such that each may be played only by the left or right hand, Bach is careful to include motion which is playable by a single hand. In this work also, Bach essentially avoids crossing the parts. This is done at the composer's discretion and is not a general characteristic of 4-part tonal counterpoint. I hope you found this useful. Thanks for watching. See you next time.